What's good? YouTube, it's your boy Flames back at it again. Another Bible reading video. Today, we're about to be reading out of the book of Esther, chapter 6 and 7. Um, in the last, first of all, God has said 6 and 7. That joke, if you go look at the roots to it, is inherently demonic. So, like, every time someone says something like that to me, I don't laugh. And if I feel comfortable to enough with that person, I'll explain why it is. And I'm not gonna spend the time of this video explaining it, but you can go do your own research. Um, yeah, look into why it is, who made it, about that person, and what specifically. I think his name's John Ramirez. It's a good person. He talked about it. Um, yeah, not good stuff, man. Not good stuff. Um, but yeah, without further ado, chapter 6, book of Esther. Right. The king honors Mordecai. On that night the king could not sleep, and he gave orders to bring the book of memorable deeds, the chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written how Mordecai had told about Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs, who guarded the threshold and who had sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. And the king said, "What honor or distinction has been bestowed on Mordecai for this?" The king's young men who attended him said, "Nothing has been done for him." And the king said, "Who is on the court?" Or who is in the court? Now Haman had just entered the outer court of the king's palace to speak with the king about having Mordecai hanged on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's young men told him, "Haman is there standing in the court." And the king said, "Let him come in." So Haman came in, and the king said to him, "What shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor?" And Haman said to himself, "Who the king delights to honor more than me." And Haman said to the king, "For the man whom the king decides to honor, or delights to honor, let royal robes be brought, which the king has worn, and the horse that the king has ridden, and on those whose head a royal crown is set. And let the robes and the horse he handed over to one of the king's most noble officials. Let them dress the man whom the king delights to honor, and let them lead him on the horse through the square of the city, proclaiming before him, 'Thus it shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor.'" Then the king said to Haman, "Hurry, take the robes and the horse as you have said, and do so to the Mordecai the Jew who sits at the king's gate. Leave out nothing that you have mentioned." So Haman took the robes of the horse, and he dressed Mordecai, and led him through the square of the city, proclaiming before him, "Thus it shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor." That's really, really funny. Okay, added context for if you haven't read this book or read before this. Haman was Or it said it here that he was about to ask Mordecai to be hanged, but he's plotting against Mordecai out of just pure jealousy. Like Mordecai didn't do anything wrong. So it's really ironic and really funny. Um then the king said to Haman, "Hurry, take the robes and the horse." So Haman did, "Okay. Thus it shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor." Then Mordecai returned to the king's gate, but Haman hurried to his house mourning and with his head covered. And Haman told his wife Zeresh and all his friends everything that had happened to him. Then his wise men and his wife Zeresh said to him, "If Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, is of the Jewish people, you will not overcome him, but will surely fall before him." Esther reveals Haman's plot. While they were yet talking with him, the king's eunuchs arrived and hurried to bring Haman to the feast that Esther prepared. Okay, chapter 7. So the king and Haman went in to feast with Queen Esther, and on the second day, as they were drinking wine after the feast, the king again said to Esther, "What is your wish, Queen Esther? It shall be granted to you. And what is your request? Even to the half of my kingdom it shall be fulfilled." Then Queen Esther answered, "If I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be granted me for my wish, and my people for my request. For we have been sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be killed, and to be annihilated. If we had been sold merely as slaves, men and women, I would have been silent. For our affliction is not to be compared with the loss of the king." Then King Ahasuerus said to Queen Esther, "Who is he? Where is he who has dared to do this?" And Esther said, "A foe and enemy, this wicked Haman." Then Haman was terrified before the king and the queen. He had no idea that the queen was Jewish because her heritage she kept hidden. That's what Mordecai told her to not tell anybody. Haman is hanged. And the king arose from his wrath from the wine drinking and went into the palace garden. But Haman stayed to beg for his life from Queen Esther, for he saw that harm was determined against him by the king. And the king returned from the palace garden to the place where they were drinking wine, as Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was. And the king said, "Will he even assault the queen in my presence in my own house?" As the word left the mouth of the king, they covered Haman's face. Then Harbona, wait, it's falling on the couch where Esther was. Jeez. Then Harbona, I don't know what it means by falling on the couch. I might need to see like another translation I've ever seen. Um, then Harbona, one of the eunuchs in attendance on the king, said, "Moreover, the gallows that Haman had prepared for Mordecai, whose word saved the king, is standing at Haman's house, 50 cubits high." And the king said, "Hang him on that." So they hanged Haman on the gallows which he had prepared for Mordecai. Then the wrath of the king ablated. So the thing that he built for Zechariah to be hung on, he got hung himself on instantly. Okay, we're basically, and we're gonna read the rest of this book tomorrow. So the last three chapters. So we'll get to find out, what happens next. What happens to people which have already had an order again, like they've already sent out flyers saying to kill all the Jewish people on this certain day. So we're gonna see what happens next. I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank y'all so much. I love y'all, and yeah, I'm catch y'all tomorrow. Peace.